Guys, I'm back here at Bastion of Twilight, getting ready to go in on 25-man heroic. We're gonna get this done really fast and get it done quick. We're back at the gold grinding, so I'm glad you guys are here to join me today. So here we go. I'm gonna give you guys brief tutorials on each of the boss fights as we go through. Assuming you are level 100 and getting ready to do these for your gold farming or just simply for transmog, I hope this will help you out. And I apologize if I'm stuttering. I'm nervous. I'm still trying to get used to this. But here we go. This trash, if you're 640 or up, it's really easy. Me, I'm just able to really AoE down them quick. I try to get all these middle ones out of the way first. That way I can focus on at least getting one side clear. Let's see. We'll get this guy. Yeah, it's just really easy. Don't forget, you want to loot everything. What I usually do is everything that's, the sparkling oasis water, the greens, the grays, the food, I all vendor. I do hang on to the ember silk cloth, and depending on what you have for professions on any of your tunes on your current realm, I will either vendor it, or not vendor it, sorry, I will put it on the auction house for the appropriate amount, but recently I've been sending it over to my pally, who has tailoring, and I'll make those ember silk bags and sell those. Here on Zul'jin, they'll usually go for about 300 to 400 gold a piece, which is a lot more than you'll get for the stack of ember silk itself. So that's the best way I'll make money. Very rarely do I put anything on auction house outside of anything I make from my professions. So just kind of a little tip with that. If you're coming in with an enchanter, I would recommend disenchanting all of your greens. I wouldn't worry about the blues or the purples, just the greens. They're going to give you that hypnotic dust you need for those ember silk bags. But here we are at Wormbreaker. He's a little bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. If you're lower geared, make sure you have some cooldowns when encountering him. He will do some knockbacks. He deals a lot of damage, but right now I'm at about 715 item level and can nuke him down before he starts to really do any big damage. So, see, like he did there, he'll knock you back. Once you get about 10 to 15 stacks, he'll start doing the stuns right here. So, in between the stuns, you want to try and get your most powerful attacks in and just burn them before those high damages start really coming out, and avoid any of the fires he's going to put on the ground for you. As I said in my previous video, each of the bosses on 25-man heroic here in the Cataclysm raids are going to give you about 125 gold apiece. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Which is a great turnaround if you're trying specifically to get gold. Now, as you're approaching up this hallway, you want to make sure and kill all of these ads. If you don't kill these going down the staircase, as you see the ones are coming up, if you don't kill them all, Cho'Gall will not run away. You won't be able to do any damage to him. You won't be able to attack him, and it's essentially going to waste your time. So me just sitting here waiting for these ads to kind of find their place and go is going to save me more time than just trying to wail on Cho'Gall and get nowhere. So here we go. And you can't loot these. They don't drop anything. It's not until you get to the ads around this center area on the sides that you'll be able to really loot anything. And they usually have a good turnaround with dropping epics. depending on your realm, some of the epics actually sell fairly well on auction house. They're great transmog all around, but make sure that before you even post them that you check to see if you're going to get the money back that's, you know, worth putting it up, because sometimes they don't sell for a couple weeks. So if you have an item that's only going to be worth, you know, maybe 50 gold on the auction house, it's not going to be worth putting it up, because you're going to spend about that much waiting for it to be sold, just trying to keep it on that auction house. So it's just better to take the vendor price. So like I said, just make sure you actually look and see if the item's going to be worth it. The only items that are, in my opinion, really worth putting on that auction house is going to be, again, that Ember Silk, unless you can turn a profit and just make the bags. But make sure your tailor is at least the high enough level to do it. If the tailor can't make it, it's better just to vendor it versus just waiting to get the appropriate profession level to make them, especially when you're trying to get that appropriate amount of gold fast. Like right now, I've got a couple hours before raid. I want the gold. It's going to go on auction house. So, like I said before, I kind of want to gamble in our raid tonight. It's a lot of fun. Don't ever do it. You lose more than you gain. But, alright. So we're going to the Twilight in cave. You've got dragon on the right, dragon on the left. You really only need to hit one. I usually go for the one on the right. There's no particular difference. The one on the left is going to do, it's kind of like a Twilight onslaught, and it's going to hit you with these powerful bolts. So you want to make sure and try and dodge them if you can. You'll see a big circle on the ground, but unless you have the gear to just ignore it, you want to avoid them, especially at these lower levels. But this you can usually just kind of nuke down. They both have a shared health pool, and see, blackout does a lot of damage. You can just kind of keep shifting and miss them entirely. But if you aren't paying attention, make sure you have at least a couple cooldowns so that you're prepared for them. When the loot drops, both dragons are going to drop the loot. It's going to be basically split in half. Still going to get 7 to 8 pieces, and we're just going to continue on down the hallway. I'm going to come over here, and you got this guy. He can hit like a truck sometimes, so just be ready. But if you got the right DPS, like you saw, 2 hits, done. It's pretty easy. Now coming into this hallway, you've got the different Ascendant Lords is what they are called. There's going to be, the first round there's going to be 2 out. You got one on the left and one on the right over here. You only really need to hit one. The other one is going to come and try and hit you as well. All you have to do is get them down to 30%. Once it goes down to 30%, another one spawns. They all get back to 100% health. And you have to get them back down to 30% again. Once that is done, you will be frozen in place, and they will all merge into one big Ancestral Lord, which once we get over to that, I will show you. Alright, so we've got the 30%. We got the third one coming in. They're all back to 100% health. We're just going to nuke this one down. So 30%. And then you get frozen in place. And as you can see, the 4 that were there are all going to walk in together. They're going to become one big being. And this guy, if you want the achievement, he's going to put this little puddle on the ground. To get the achievement, you want to nuke him down before the puddle basically becomes ice. Now, for those who are lower geared, what you want to do is keep moving him out of this, because the puddle is going to do a lot of damage to you. So unless you have personal defenses or bring in some healing potions, you just want to move out of it. You just want to completely get out of it. At one point, he will electrify it, and it can one-shot you. So put in the best DPS you can and nuke him down, but stay out of those puddles. The achievement, nuke him down before it turns to ice, which is pretty easy. If you can't do it by yourself, next week bring in 1 or 2 other people and you'll get the achievement really fast. Alright, in here we're going in. We've got Cho'Gall coming up. These guys here are pretty easy. Just, they die really fast. You take them down. And I always make sure, and I try to clear these guys on the sides. They do have a mind control that can happen, and you just want to take care of them. You don't want those in the middle of a boss fight happening. It just becomes really messy. So I'm just going to come over and AoE them all down and just take care of them. Get my gold, get my Ember Silk. Now Cho'Gall here, what I like to do is I am going to bring him out towards the middle. So here we go. And for anyone who's a shaman, mage, or if you have even drums of war, you can pop hero on every boss pull. It'll automatically reset. And as you're seeing with these bolts that he's casting out, you want to, if you don't have a lot of health, you want to have a defensive for them. You want to have a little buff to help you. Once he gets down to 1%, he's going to walk to the center of the room and the floor is going to collapse. Once you get down here, be ready to move fast. The magma does hurt no matter what gear level you're at. From here, you can loot them if you didn't up top before you fall. You'll get all of your items, and then you're just going to come on down here. Personally, this is my favorite boss fight in Bastion of Twilight down here. Once you get down to this center area, kind of like in the ring up top, it's going to be the same. And we're going to have Sinestra come up. Now this is kind of a tricky boss fight. You want to make sure and have the right gear. You have some AoE attacks available, but going in, what I like to do is I will pop everything. I want to get him down to 1% health as fast as I can, and it'll push him into his next phase. Going into phase 2, he will get his full health back. Don't let up. You want to keep attacking him, because the hero behind you, right here, is going to pop up and he's going to shoot a beam at him. The more damage you do, the more powerful that beam gets, and it's going to suppress Sinestra's power. During this part, he's also going to spawn adds. If you can passively cleave them down, do so. You want to keep all of your focus really on Sinestra. And you're going to do this until you are told to, whether it's DBM or bigwigs, whichever you use, you're going to get a notice from Callan saying that Sinestra's weakened. Like right here. Protective barrier pulsing around the eggs dissipates. At that point, you're going to come over, and he's got an egg over here. We're just going to kill that. These eggs are essentially harnessing the majority of Sinestra's power. And if you did enough damage prior, as you can see this beam, it's still going to be very strong. He's not going to have a whole lot of power going out. So you're going to have a very limited amount of time to kill those eggs and get back to him before Kellen is basically being overrun and you have to come back and attack Sinestra to kind of get some of that power back so you can take care of the eggs. There's only going to be 2, but if you do it quick enough, you're not going to have really that much of an issue. So I recommend just going as fast as you can. Once those eggs are down, you can just start attacking Sinestra, take care of him, and get him down to 1%, and he's done. And kind of like Dragon Soul, he's going to get sucked into the fire, and he's going to burst. Well, maybe not burst, but he's going to get sucked in, he's gone, and the wonderful loot is ours. So, that's all that Bastion of Twilight really is. It's pretty easy. Make sure you're 640 item level at least. If you go in lower, make sure you have your defensives. But, again, thank you everyone for joining me today. I am heading over to Firelands next. I hope to see you there. And I will give some brief tutorials on those fights as well. Thank you for joining for our Tuesday reset. See ya!